But like I was saying, yeah, it's like I just think that's my biggest pet peeve today is people trying to refine things. Because it's kind of like look at a Stratocaster. You know, everybody's like I'm a luthier, but everybody's making another Stratocaster.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, but I'm going to charge 10 times as much. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, but it looks just like a Stratocaster.
Yeah. And when it doesn't look right. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And if it doesn't, it's like Leo's Fender can't even sell G&Ls because it doesn't look like a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
And it's his guitar.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, but it's people are always trying to refine things. And people have to understand too with gear, the same thing. Everybody wants what's the best pickup? What's the best this and that? There is no best. Every guy pickup winder, it's his idea of what he likes in a Strat pickup. I personally use Fender Strat pickups, custom 69s. They just sound fine to me, and I've tried other ones and they sound like a Strat pickup too,
Right.
but they have more mid-range and more of this. And it's like, well, I don't want more of that. I just want it the way it was.
Right.
If it worked for Buddy Holly and Jimmy, then it's fine for me.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. But yeah, so it's like, it's one of those things where everybody wants to make things better, bigger, better, better, better. And it's not necessarily just because you play something cleaner doesn't mean it's better.
Yeah.
A guy could play Who Knows by Band of Gypsies note for note, but it doesn't mean it sounds like when Jimmy does it. It's just so some things you have to just go, you know, you just have to say, wow, that guy's unbelievable. And I really enjoy listening to it.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, sometimes you luck up on one of their licks and you can kind of do it. And you're
Yeah.
like, how about that?
Yeah. Or you ask yourself, like, what could I offer the world that has
Right,
new depth? Like I love listening to blues music and up and
right,
coming, but like I'm from Denmark. Like, what's my version of that? It's not
right.
imitating Freddie King. It's figuring out what did I grow up with that I can offer. Like,
That's the thing that makes the Stones so cool, I thought, is all the Stones wanted to be was a blues band.
mm,
But it came out the Stones.
yeah,
Because that's the way, when they play blues, that's what it sounds like,
yeah,
you know? And you think about all the English acts back then, they all wanted to be blues bands. But every one of them sounded totally different because their idea of the blues, when they played it, was different.
right,
Sabbath was a blues band. It's like, so it's like that's the beauty of it. The thing that made Van Halen great is Eddie played one way, and David Lee Roth liked a whole different style of music.
yeah,
But when you put it together, it was like cool. And sometimes you just need to revel in that, and that's just the mysteries of the world. That's people's personality,
yeah,
and you can't put it into a form, and it's not like that. It's art. And sometimes I think we just don't sit back and enjoy, or you're measuring everything.
right. Or
You're
decipher.
measuring everything. Is he the best though? Oh yeah, you see somebody put a video up and go, "This is the greatest solo ever." Another guy goes, "No, this is the greatest solo ever." And it's like no, they're both really good solos. It's like why can't there be two good ones?
Right.
It's like it doesn't have to be the best. It just has to do the job.
Yeah.
It has to
Plus,
just do the
there's
job.
yeah, and this is something I wish I would have realized sooner. Is also what you were talking about with Malcolm, where it's like, it's not the guitar solo that makes it a great solo. It's just as much the drummer and the
Yeah.
horns and what everybody else is doing and how good the song is. It's like, so you sit there with your guitar brain on and you're like, I'm gonna play the exact same notes, but when I do it with my band, it doesn't sound the same. It's like because the drummer is not
Yeah.
picking up
Yeah.
on you, is not supporting you the same way.
Oh yeah. I remember the first Santana album, and I used to listen to it, and people would go, "What do you think?" And I said, I think Carlos is playing wonderfully. I said, it's great. But I said, you know what's really great? What you're not paying attention to is when he's holding that note, the percussion players are bleeding.
Yeah, exactly.
They are bleeding. They are
Yeah.
playing so good.
Yeah,
Everybody's playing so strong that all he has to do is hold the note.
exactly. Or like Albert King, he'll play
Yeah.
and then the horns will answer him.
Right.
So it's like you tell somebody, leave more space in your phrasing. Yeah, but if your band sounds uninspiring and not
Right,
then you're just going to want to play just to try to cover it up.
I think it's a big part of that is when you're in a band, you need to know your place. That's another thing that guys don't understand. Most bands, and this is another real world scenario, they think because they were in a high school band and how it is then, they think that's the way it is. But with big bands that are famous bands, there's usually 2 guys in charge. And everybody else knows they're in charge and knows that they defer to them for any decisions.
Yeah.
And they understand that they are lucky to be in that band and be in a world famous band. And they're cool with it. It's like the Bulls. They knew Michael Jordan's on the team. And all I need to do is just do what I need to do and stay out of Michael's way.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
And I'll just keep getting getting championship rings.
Right.
It's like, all I got to do is just be quiet. When he throws me the ball, throw it back.
Yeah.
Don't make a decision. I think I can make that shot. No.
Bad decision.
Bad decision. Michael looks at you and throws it to you, and you immediately throw it back. and you go, okay. I'm just giving you a breather. And that's the thing with, when you look at bands like, Aerosmith and all, it's like Steve and Joe. Steve Tyler, Joe Perry.
Mm.
And the other guys, I'm sure, contribute and have a great time, but they realize those are the guys. You look at like Bill Wyman with the Stones. After Miss You, he didn't even play bass anymore. Keith played bass on some of the tunes, and he went, I got an idea. Why don't you just keep playing bass and I'll just go home? And he goes, when we go on tour, you just tell me what tunes to play and show me what to do.
Right.
And I'll do it. And that's a big part of having great bands. It's everybody knowing their job and not taking it personally, but just going, okay. The Beach Boys, Dennis started using the Wrecking Crew. And the band said, how come we don't get to play the sessions? He goes, because you can't.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, these guys play exactly what I tell them to play. And they went, okay. Because they know their spot in the band. They're like, we get it. Because you're hearing the more complicated tunes that Dennis wrote and how they're playing them. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm just a strummy guy. I get it.
Right.
I get it. I'm not, And I think it's just a matter of everybody understanding that there's a formula. There's a formula that works, that everybody can't be a chief. And you just have to know your job. And if you do your job well, you're killing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're killing it, Somebody may not know who the bass player in the Chainsmokers is, but he's doing a great job. He's got hits. He played on it. I don't hear anything wrong with it. It's like, dude, So, but don't sit there trying to take everything apart going, if I can play it even better, then I'm better than him. No, you didn't write it.
Right.
So you just copied it.
Yeah.
We're back to the Strat thing.
Right.
No, you didn't make a better Strat. You just made a Strat. I'm gonna make something that's totally new because I'm the greatest luthier in the world. I call it a E7. Well, it looks like a Strat to me.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's different. How so?
Yeah.
Oh, it's different. Please show me how.
Yeah.
Funny, the selector switch looks the same.
Yeah.
Headstock looks really close. The scale length's the same. Pickups are in the same spot. Colors are a little different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I had a guy at an AM show once show me a guitar, and it was some Strat, but he had really tried to like reinvent the wheel. So he's like, so for each of these settings, there are 20 settings, right? And for each of those, you have 6 more settings. I'm like, so what does that leave me with? Like, that's like over 100 options. Like,
Right.
don't give me 100 things.
Yeah.
Give me 3 or 5 or 10 good ones. Like, I have no use for 120 settings.
I know. Billy Gibbons plays a Tully with 1 pickup.
Yeah, there you go. With like 8s on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've got all these sounds. Play with my thumb, play with my finger,
Yeah,
play with a pick.
That's my pedal board right here.
My pedal board. Yeah, so it's like, stop trying to reinvent the wheel unless you got something really great. And, people have to be a little more humble and just understand. Understand why a legendary guitar player is legendary.
Yeah.
And it's usually never the reason. Just like the other thing I said, people don't really get famous for being a guitar player. Glenn Campbell, he's famous because he sang By the Time I Get to Phoenix.
Mm.
And then they just realized that he played guitar. George Benson was Masquerade because he could sing.
Right.
I don't know many people that are famous for being guitar players. So like Chet Atkins or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how that translates into the non-guitar world.
Yeah, and that was a different time where they were sort of, hey, look what I can do, kind of.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. When you play 2 parts at the same time.
I know, you're like, he played 2 parts at the same time.
Yeah. They thought it was
Burn him, he's a witch.
Yeah, exactly.
What trickery is this? Yeah, so, but I mean, guys that got famous, it's because of songs.
Yeah.
Because they sang and they wrote songs.
Yep.
So that's the other thing to understand, that, it's great to be a guitar player, but songs is where it's at.
Amen.
And that almost defines the guitar player, because I don't want to hear you play by yourself. I want to hear a song play, and I want to hear what you play to it. That separates the men from the boys.
Exactly.
What do you play to that song? How does that move you? What do you think? Is your shit so good, like an Albert King, where it doesn't matter what the tune is, you just play the thing you play and it just kills no matter what. I already know what you're going to play.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give you money right now to see you play it.
Yeah.
Even though I know what you're going to play.
Yeah.
but I'm willing to pay. And as I'm leaving the show, if somebody said, you want to buy a ticket for tomorrow? I go, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Because I want to see it again.
Well, the thing with those guys is also, like, you can never predict when they play the note. Like, I have blues records that I've listened to my whole life, and I still don't know when Albert Collins is going to hit that root note.
Right.
In sort of anticipation of it every time, and I'm like, oh, there it is, and it hits me right in the heart every time.
I know. You're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, if you go back to B.B. King at Cook County Jail.
Yeah.
When all the young guys hear B.B. when he was much older, and, he was sick and stuff like that. And, yeah, he wasn't as good as he was, but he was still cool. But if you go back, I remember I used to read, like, about the Allman Brothers and all, and they would go, oh, man, B.B. King.
Yeah.
And I would go, I just don't hear that in their playing, that they listen to so much B.B. Yeah. Then I heard B.B. live at Cook County Jail. And it was like, you could hear all the Allman Brothers and everything, because that's where his tone was back then. And you were just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's Allman Brothers tone. It's like, no, that's B.B. King tone.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's just, that's the thing.
Yep.
And the other thing is, when you're listening to our favorite guys, when they talk about their favorite guys, you got to go back and listen to their favorite guys. That's so important.
Yep.
because you need to hear what they heard that made them play that way. Then things aren't as mysterious. When you hear Charlie Christian, then Larry Carlton's not that mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, ah.
And you don't end up copying. I mean, not to say that anybody's a copy, but it gets derivative the further.
Yeah.
Which is very much what happens now with, I mean, nothing against John Mayer, but then people imitate John Mayer instead of imitating and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and you sort of get one link removed from the source.
Right. Yeah. You listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan, but nobody's listening to Albert King and Jimmy.
Exactly.
It's like, no. They're like, did you hear Voodoo Child? No, did you hear the real Voodoo Child?
Exactly. Yeah.
You need to hear. So I mean, it's stuff like that, and it's. I don't blame it on YouTube, but it just makes a platform for people to live in their own world.
Yeah.
And I just think that everybody always needs to realize there's the real world and the world as you perceive it. A politician was saying, they were talking about lies and everything that's going on. And he went, well, you have to understand, this is the post-truth era.
Yeah.
Now, post-truth era, that just means lies.
Yeah.
It's like that's the problem. It's like you're writing it off as just a normal thing, and it's not a normal thing. Lying is not a normal thing.
No.
So when it comes to playing guitar and stuff, you have to just be a realist and know what you're up against and know that you can do it. But your biggest chances of making it are going to be songs and playing what people want you to play. And anything else you want to do that's on your own is more of a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
And you're welcome to do the gamble, but at the end of the day, don't bitch about it.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
Don't be bitter.
Yeah, don't blame the world for it.
Don't blame the world. It's like if it didn't work out, it didn't work out, but it was a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
And you have to look at it like that. I'm not the most famous guy in the world or anything like that, but every day I get to play, and I learn more every day. What a ride.
Yep.
What a ride. It's like, would it have been any different if I was rich and famous? Probably not. Could I still be practicing every day and it would still be what a ride?
Yeah.
Except I could do it in a pool.
Yeah, exactly. You get used to that pool really quickly, and then
I can get used to that pool
figure out.
And the Rolls Royce, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just cool.
But I remember meeting you and Mike, and that's what I loved about you. It's like you both had a love of music and a love of guitar, but you were realists. You were a realist. When I talked to you, even though you had just done MI and all, you knew exactly, I want to be a professional guitar player. This is what I need to do, and these are the things I need to do.
Yeah.
And you run into so many guys that you try to tell them about that, and they think, oh no, you're wrong. I'm going to be a rock star.
Right.
And it's like, well, you could be, but just remember that's the gamble.
Hmm. And I had a teacher that said something great. He's like, and you may even end up being a guitarist in a successful band, and you might make a lot of money for a while, but when that band ends, whoever wrote the songs is the one that whoever is either singing or wrote the songs.
Exactly.
It's about the guitar player from insert big band, even if they were one of the founding members. That doesn't do with any options.
No. That's one of the big things where when all the acts, the girls, the Taylor Swifts and all, was great, is while they're out working and they're, and all the acts like that they're touring and stuff, there's a producer that helped write those tunes that wakes up every morning and goes to the mailbox and gets a check.
Yep.
And walks back in the house and goes back to bed.
It goes back to the pool.
Yeah. While Taylor's rushing to get on the next plane, he's drinking orange juice and watching TV. Going, man, oh man. Because I'm sure glad I wrote Shake It Off.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, sir, Reba. You played on that, right?
Not on Shake It Off. No, I played on 2 songs on her album Red.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was cool. They're great songs, and
Yeah.
obviously happy to be asked.
I know, it's great. It's great. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like people just have to understand, that it's not like you think it is in high school.
Yeah.
And it's not a competition. And it doesn't matter if you play better than somebody. None of that stuff matters. When you go into audition or whatever, you better be thinking about how to play that song really well.
And if you get the gig, you got to be thinking about what you're doing after that gig.
Right.
It really is a marathon, and so many people get their first foot in the door, and then they stop thinking about the next step.
Right.
Things always end.
Things always end. And sometimes they don't end, the person moves on, because you don't understand that if you're a side man, you're a side man. And sometimes the artist might like you and keep you with them, and sometimes not.
Yeah, it might just be a change, like Elvis Costello going bluegrass all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a drummer.
No, yeah. Sometimes people just go, just decide. I mean, it could end at any time. I remember Madonna, at her heyday, used Omar Hakim and Paul Pascal and Victor Bailey. It was a killer band. And from what I heard, it was like she was listening to her tunes on the radio one day and realized that the tunes had digressed and don't even sound like that anymore. They sounded like fusion-y songs. And she just went, I need a new band. It doesn't sound like the way Material Girl used to sound.
Right.
And it's like, well, your decision. You hired the best jazz guys
Yeah.
to play your dance tunes. So they let it grow. And it's like, no, I understand you don't want it to, but, And so she went through people, and then all of a sudden, she couldn't find a band that just sounded right to her. And she hired those kids from England and said, here, you guys are going to play the show. And they went, good. So what should we play? And she went, nothing. It's going to be tracks. And you just stand there.
You're going to wear this.
You're going to wear this and you're going to stand there.
Yeah.
I heard that the drummer had to beg her for months, because I guess he was a really good drummer. And he was like, I can play the gig, I swear. Like, no, we'll use the tracks. Until finally one day, I guess, she played the gig at rehearsal. And she went, okay.
You can play.
Yeah, I'll put you in the PA now.
That's funny. I did a TV thing in New York once, and it was me and the artist, and then hired guys from New York, and the keyboard player. This was like full on like a pop production.
Oh, okay.
The keyboard player was late because he was stuck in traffic, and so the rest of us got to play because we were there for sound check. He did it. So the bass player kept being like, keyboard player is really good, like really good, and I'm like, okay, fine, but so I'm standing there next to this keyboard player, and he's just faking it. And then I find out, like, a couple of months later, there's like a viral clip of Snarky Puppy, and it's Corey Henry's just.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he did sound check, so he was faking it next to me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man.
You missed out.
Yeah, I did. So did I play with Corey Henry, or did I not? I don't think so.
Yes, you did. I have a story like that. I have a story with Nathan East. I was at an AM show, and Nathan walks over, and he's like saying hi to everybody. And I went, hey, I said, hey, you do me a favor? He goes, what? I said, I need to strengthen my resume. So I need to put that I played with you. I said, but I don't want to lie. So can we just play an E chord? And he went, great. And he grabbed the bass, and I grabbed the guitar, and I went, ready? And he went, go. And then he went, perfect. I said, great. And I said, that would go on my resume.
That's awesome.
Nathan Easties, yes.
Great.
And he was like, sure. I'm like, great.
What a nice guy.
Yeah. You know, but I mean, that's the thing. It's just everybody's just got to think about music a little bit differently, you know, because and I mean that's just it's just the way people are thinking. It's just the way you think as a kid, you know. I remember with Eddie, when Eddie came out, that's when the place got flooded with Shrapnel Records guys, with all the shredder guys, because
Mm.
it came from all over the country going, I can play Eruption faster than Eddie, so I'm the new Eddie.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it doesn't really work like that.
Right.
Yeah, you know. But so I think that's it. It's those are the things to think about.
Yeah.
Just you gotta love guitar, and you gotta do it because you love it. It's got to be the first thing, and you got to do it because you like to learn.
Yeah.
Because you'll
I
never
heard
stop
that.
learning. You're
I heard
never
an
going to
interview
stop.
with the, sorry.
I said you're never going to stop learning,
Yeah, exactly.
and
I
you
heard
got
an
to
interview with a banjo
know
player
that.
recently, and he was like talking about being around some like Bill Frisell and some of his musician friends, and he's like, I wanted to be as good as them, so I realized they love music more than I do, so I have to learn to love music even more than I do to get
Right,
it done. And I love that approach to it. It's like you've got to love music more.
right, right. You know, people laugh at the little things they say about different guys, like that walk around like writers that walk around with notepads and recorders all the time, all day.
Mhm.
But yet a person goes, oh yeah, I'm a songwriter, and they allot an hour a day to sit down and write a song. But a real songwriter keeps stuff with them at all times because an idea can come in 2 seconds.
Yep.
It's a 24-hour thing. They're listening. When they hear something, they hear an idea, they put it down, you know, and that's what they don't understand. You have to be so into it. You have to be so into it. It's like we talked about modeling and stuff like that. You can't be the guy that goes, I'm not really into modeling. I got to have a real amp. Well, that's well and good, and you can have your preference, but you should know how to operate a modeler
Hmm.
because there's going to be a time where you might have to use one.
For sure.
And now it's gotten to a point where a lot of tours, that's just what they use.
Yeah.
Guitar is going direct, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And you go, where's my amp? And they go, oh, no, you're not using the amp.
Yeah.
Here's an Axe Effects, and here's your chord. There
Yeah.
you go. And so you need to know how to use it and how to dial in and feel comfortable with it. Because it's a new style, it's a new technique, and it will help you. It doesn't mean you have to love it, but the more you get into it, you might like it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, does the modeling sound better than an amp? No, not to me. But there's more pros than cons.
Hmm.
It's like, does tape sound better than digital? Yeah, but it takes a hand truck to carry masters.
Yeah.
And a digital recording I can put in a dongle.
Yeah.
I can put it in a stick. It's like, I can edit a whole album in an hour without a razor blade and scissors.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like the Helix and the Axe Effects and those things. It's like, you can't say that there's anything more convenient,
Yeah.
and hopefully one day they'll figure out what to do about in-ears. I can't figure that out.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a solution to in-ears because
Yeah, I don't know if there's a solution because we depend so much on speakers.
speakers, and also we have so much stage volume because
Yeah,
I've done
yeah,
acoustic stuff where it sounded like a record in my ears, where it was just perfect. Everything is panned and compressed and different reverbs. But the minute you have a bass, the minute you're standing on the subs under the stage or you have a drummer behind you, it's just, then you can turn up crazy loud,
right.
and blow your hearing in a week. But that's
I know.
pretty much the
Yeah,
losing game.
I just don't. Yeah, it's such a physics thing.
Yeah,
It's such a physics thing. I don't know because the other instruments sound okay because they can go direct, but guitar is just not a direct thing.
yeah,
Because there's so many indirect things that influence the sound.
yeah.
And I don't know how to fix that.
Ironically, it's probably going to be from the modeling, that
Yeah,
they find a way to make it sound less direct, like
yeah,
the room, the distance between our ears and the amp.
right.
But again, then you still have the,
Yeah,
drummer
even
to compete with.
even when I use the Helix and I just go out of the headphone out, it's terrible, even by itself.
Yeah,
With everything else is great, and then to headphone out, just with me, just nothing but my ear, it's like it's okay,
yeah,
it's okay, but I still end up burying myself because I don't want to hear too much of it.
yeah,
So I don't know what they can do to fix that. I'm sure they're working on it, but you know,
yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. What do you use?
I use Roxanne's, the JH Audio,
Uh huh.
and it's again like acoustic stuff. It sounds beautiful, but anything with a band, it's survival, So I just blast the click, and then I have my own guitar almost all the way to the left ear. Then I have some lead vocal in the right ear, and just a little bit of rhythm guitar, keyboards, but like sometimes little tracks. But really, mostly I'm just hearing click and myself
Ah,
and lead vocal because I'm hearing the drums, you know, organically, and I'm
is,
feeling the bass.
is Cam still working?
Yeah, she's navigating the whole scene right now. But she has a new record out, and
Okay.
there's just COVID got in the way, like for so
Yeah,
many months.
yeah.
So right now she's back out, and she's sort of trying to figure out what to do about how to tour in
And
this.
see, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like those are more things to ask yourself when
Yeah,
you're an artist and you're writing the songs and everything. You have a lot on your plate.
yeah. And then you got to deal with feeling responsible for people's safety. When you're
Right,
playing in places where COVID's surging
right,
and
right,
also the loss there, and you're like, do I want to be a part of? I
right.
don't know how she feels.
Yeah,
It's tricky.
it's very tricky. It's
Yeah,
very tricky, you know. And that's the thing. It's like one minute she's at the Grand Ole Opera, and the next minute she's trying to navigate what to do with life now,
yeah,
And it's all those things you have to think about.
yeah,
But you'll have a lot more time to do it if you just love music,
yeah,
and just let the cards drop where they may. You'll usually be okay.
yeah,
But I look at all the guys, like I said, the Tim Pierces and all those guys, and it's like, man, they do such great work. They do such great work, and it's because they love guitar.
hmm
You love watching them because they love to say, what they learned today.
hmm
You get it. You gotta be like you were when you first started playing, where every day you learned a new lick, you were just so excited.
exactly.
You know. So that's what I do. I just try to just keep learning, and it's so funny that it takes so long to realize what's really important. And I can rant all I want, but a 20-year-old is still going to do what they do
Yeah,
until they hit 35.
yeah,
That's just the way it is.
yeah,
And you just have, so you can't bash anybody. You just have to go, you'll figure it out.
yeah. And you can offer them, your
Yeah,
take on it, and maybe they'll take it.
yeah.
You've always
Because I
had
mean,
great ability to predict things, which gives you a lot of credibility with, because
yeah.
for me, you'd be like, this is what's going to happen. And then that's exactly what would.
Oh yeah, I've got friends. They call me up and go, "It's exactly what you
Yeah.
said."
One of,
Yeah,
one of my very first high profile gigs, I showed up at rehearsals, and you had told me at one point, like, the only way you're ever going to seem like an amateur is by talking too much. And so I took that to heart right away. I was just sort of soldier mode. I was just,
right.
there. I play my parts. I super well prepared, everything. So this other guy is there, and he is just talking. And no matter what the artist is saying, he's just just talking for 5 minutes. He's talking about his pedals and his pedal boards, and he watched this DVD where this one guy did, and I'm just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then I emailed you. I was like, this guy's talking too much. It's bad. And then sure enough, after the first show, there was a lot of confusion because we were going to another country, and it was sort of like, are we supposed to bring our own gear, or is it? Mm-hmm. And he had been told one thing, and I've been told another thing, and it was all very confusing. But then the next morning in the car going towards the airport, we're like, where's such and such? And then the tour manager goes, such and such is not coming. And that was it about that. But it was just like you said, talk too much.
Exactly. It's like you have to understand that the people that hire you, they're not in love with guitar.
No, or even with hearing you talk.
Yeah,
they have a very specific task.
Yeah. They just on the paper it says we need a guitar player.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I got to find a guitar player.
Yeah.
And if you show up and you don't say too much and he doesn't have much interaction and he's able to go, guitar player done.
Yep.
He's good.
See, that reminds me, one of the things I've noticed in line with this is like real pros try not to attract attention.
Right.
Because the best thing that can happen is you get through the whole rehearsal and nobody said a thing to you.
Nobody said a thing.
Amateurs will try everything they can to just play a little something to get a nod from someone, and they'll be looking around trying to just get attention. Or I'm like, no, you do the opposite. You try to blend in.
Funniest thing, when you play with guys that are really, really good, you don't talk about music or playing at all. You show up, you talk about football, you talk about restaurants. I don't drink, but the guys talk about beer. And then we start the show.
Yeah.
And then you play the showdown, and you have a great show. And when the show's over, you're talking about where you're going to get something to eat and who's playing tomorrow. And no one ever talks about playing.
Yeah.
Because it's a given that you're going to play this gig well. And it's expected, and it's not up. No one's worried.
Yeah.
The only time somebody talks is when you don't play the gig well.
Exactly.
So, but if everything's fine, then there's not a problem.
Yep.
It's like, so just don't talk.
Yeah.
You know, don't talk. Be cordial and everything, but don't talk. You know, because every time, because you're thinking, because what it does is it makes people think, if you're asking all these guitar questions, then you actually think this whole session revolves around your guitar.
Exactly.
And it's like no one gives a shit about your guitar. It's like they might record you and they might have forgot to put you in the mix and never realized.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no guitar? Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to understand that, you know, to the guy that's hiring you, he's got way more important things on his mind.
Yeah.
Like, where is the artist going to tour? What happens if this record hits? What happens if this record doesn't hit? I wonder if these songs are going to be right. I wonder how she's doing. Will she get through this? I got all these things. And you're walking around following me going, should I play this C major seventh or this C major seventh?
Exactly. And you're just adding one more thing on his list to do.
Just adding one more thing on this list.
He will let you know if it's not right.
Right. Right. If they don't say anything, it's great. And usually if they like it, they say something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, keep that. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you do. And you just, you know, so, you know, when I see these guys, they just they worry too much about themselves and not the big picture.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you take care of yourself at home. And when you get there, you're all about the big picture.
Yep.
You know, you want them to understand that you'll do whatever. If you need to play one note on that whole track and that's it, and it's the right note, you're good.
Yeah. It's like the Nashville guys say, you know, it's like you're like a contractor and you show up with your van full of tools and you're like, well, what's the problem here?
Exactly.
And then if they want to build a brick wall, you helped them build the straightest brick wall you could,
That's it.
such a great attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you just help them. I watch, like, one of my favorites is Tom Budovac,
Hmm.
and when I watch him, I always get a kick out of him because of his rants.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, you see when he shows up, talks about his Rolling Rock beer and points out some of the gear he's got. Then he gets to work.
Hmm.
He does a superb job. And he gets to work and knocks it out.
Yep.
I loved it. I loved when he was rehearsing for Ann Wilson, because that's his latest thing.
Yeah.
And he sat there and he learned the tunes. And you go watch the shows, and every night it gets better and better. And it was fine the first time, but he starts to own it because you could tell he didn't just let it go and go, that's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He went home and went, okay, now what I need to do is this and this. And it's just like, yeah, it's just great.
Yeah.
It's great. And that's what a guy does. That's what you do.
Yep.
You play it to your best of your ability and you keep it moving.
Yep.
So.
That was a moment like that for me. I got to do a session with him in Nashville.
Oh, really?
And I was in this bizarre
He's the
tuning that,
nicest guy as he seems.
yeah, he's super chill. But you also know that if you're not bringing it, you'll get kicked out, which is totally fair. But so the whole time I'm in there playing, and I'm in this bizarre tuning that me and the producer came up with because he wanted a specific thing. So I really I'm very comfortable with open tuning, but I don't even know what this tuning was. I just knew that part that the producer wanted me to play. So I could have taken no curveballs at that point, So I'm just there. I'm just going to commit to this part. And Tom is just playing the most beautiful stuff and just dancing around I'm getting goosebumps even just thinking about it. And I'm just like, if he doesn't kick me out, I'm good. If he doesn't kick me out, closest at one point he's like, are we all in tune? Let's all play an E chord. And we played my best E chord, and I was like, please. And he goes,
please.
Okay, cool. And I played the song, and it sounded great, and I didn't get kicked out. So I was like, this is one of those times where if he doesn't say anything, then it's a victory for me.
Right. That's another thing. Anybody who posts on YouTube, be in tune. If you're demoing gear or whatever you're doing, be in tune.
Yeah.
You don't know how annoying it is when you're trying to check out a piece of gear and the guy's playing an E chord that's flat.
Yeah.
It's like, because now I can't hear what I'm trying to hear because I just keep hearing an out of tune guitar.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand how important being in tune is.
Yeah.
To the point where you can play one lick and play it out of tune or in tune, and it'd be from brilliant to horrible.
Yeah.
It's like, but guys think, oh, it's close enough. There's no close enough.
Mm.
You got to be in tune.
Yeah. But it's tough because once you really go down that rabbit hole, then you never fully get in tune. Just because the guitar is so imperfect that I take my gear to get professionally set up and intonate it. I don't do it myself because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. And then I tune with my stroke tuner, and then I don't think about it.
Right.
Because it's like it will drive you insane.
It will drive you insane because your ears start playing tricks on you.
Yeah.
And, everything starts to sound flat.
Exactly.
And
it's
brutal. You have no idea where you are.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I think about when I was a kid and they didn't have tuners. And it seems like I was more in tune then.
Yeah. Yeah.
than I am now. It's like I'm pretty in tune now, but back then, because you didn't have a tuner, you were so aware of it all the time.
Yeah. And you probably also played with the instrument more, right? Like we just expect everything to work perfectly.
Right.
There's some things you can't do on a guitar.
Right.
Perfectly in tune.
Which is another thing. See, you're bringing up other things. When you buy a guitar, I am so tired of people telling me what year a Gibson's no good and what year a Strat is no good. I have never played a Strat or a Gibson or pretty much any really good guitar that wasn't fine. I mean, there's some that are just where there's a catastrophe, something bad happened.
All right.
But it's like you see these guys that aren't qualified to review a guitar and go, this guitar is junk. I took the pickup out and saw a scratch under the pickup cavity. I don't know. They're not making them like they used to.
Yeah.
Dude, it's a scratch under a pickup cavity.
Yeah.
No one sees it. I understand that if you're not a real guitar player and you spent $3,500 on the guitar, you want it to be as flawless as it can be because you spent all that money.
Mm-hmm.
But take it from a guy who plays guitar for a living, it's not the end of the world. If I see a guitar and it sounds great and it's got a scratch on it, I could care less about the scratch.
Right.
The guitar sounds great. So it's like, stop making everything, lumping everything into a year of bad guitars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like there's good guitars and there's guitars you like. Next thing, you can't go to a store and grab one off the shelf. And I hate this. Well, I bought this guitar. Well, why'd you buy that one? It played the best out of all of them. It's a store. You haven't had it set up yet.
Yeah.
So the one that you don't think is any good might be the greatest guitar ever, but it's just not set up.
Yeah.
And just because you spent $3,500 on a guitar doesn't mean that it's set up. So don't use that as your criteria. That should be the last of your criteria.
Yeah.
You know, because you can take that and have it fixed.
Yeah.
You can take it and have the action low as you want or high as you want till it feels perfect. So that can be done with any guitar. So that shouldn't be the prerequisite for buying a guitar.
Right. But it is hard to see how you get the, that magical moment in the store where you forget about everybody else and you end up writing something. So it's, to me, it falls on the guitar store to be like, why don't you just get
things? Well, that's my thing. It's like, wouldn't you sell a bunch more guitars if all your guitars played great?
Exactly. And we're in tune when you pick them up. Like if I could
Yeah, because I mean, a novice guy that comes in, of course he's going to use that for criteria because that's pretty much all he knows at this moment.
Yeah.
So if I was a guitar store guy, like I always laugh for a while about Ibanez's because the reason Ibanez sold so many guitars is their guitars were the best setup of every guitar in the store.
Yeah.
You can pick up one for $150 and you can play the gig with it. And it's like, but you pick up a guitar for $5,000 from Gibson's Custom Shop and the strings are horrible. And it's not insulated or anything. And it's like, dude, don't you have somebody at your store when the guitars come in?
Yeah.
Like, set them up.
Yeah.
Set them up, intonate them, put some nice strings on them.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. It's like when you're looking for a guitar, you can have that done. You can have that fixed, and it's kind of hard. The other thing that makes it hard is the setup affects the tone. So even if you play the guitar at the store, you still don't know how it really sounds.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy things that you think that a store would do after all these years.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can't be easy being a guitar store either these days.
No.
It's not like they're just rolling in it. So.
No.
Yeah.
So but if you just got them to, you don't have to have them set up like amazing, but just so you can play a gig.
Yeah.
So somebody could hear the tone of the guitar and be good with it.
Yeah. I was so impressed. I bought a Mustang bass from Fender recently, and I took it out of the case. It came in, it was shipped to my house, and it was in tune.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that, but it was a good thing.
Yeah.
We're going to get along.
I know. It's great. And that's the other thing with guys. If you buy a guitar and you bring it home and it's not floating your boat, take it back.
Yeah.
I see guys bitching about a guitar and they go, I didn't really like this guitar. Well, take it back.
Yeah.
You know, if the store doesn't want to set it up and you go home and you work on it and it's still not doing it, just take it back. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like any other product.
For
You
sure.
know, you know, they, nobody's going to argue with you if you take a guitar back in a couple of days.
Yeah.
You know, if you hold it for months, yeah, but if for a couple of days and you go back, well, it's not working for you.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad about it because you want to buy a guitar. So you're just like, I don't like this one. Let me try another one.
Right.
You know, but I always do that because guys feel so helpless when they buy guitars. You know, because I've heard you can even go, I think I want to buy this guitar, but I'm not sure. Could you set it up? And they'll do it.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yeah. You know, so you're like, I'm close to buying this, but I don't like it set up. Could you take it in the back real quick and just set it up real quick?
Yeah.
Just so I can kind of see what it's like.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, you know, I just worry about people because this whole thing should be called bad decisions.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because it's always the bitching afterwards. I got this guitar and I didn't like it. Did you take it back? No. Bad decision.
Right. Exactly.
But now I have to listen to you bitch about you not liking the guitar.
Yeah.
And the 2021 Gibson are all shit.
Yeah. It's a bad year.
It's a bad year.
Yeah.
Because you, who have been playing for like 3 weeks, has decided that 2021 is bad for Gibsons.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're going to go on YouTube and tell everyone.
Yeah. And you spend $3,500 on a guitar instead of spending $500 and $3,000 on lessons.
Exactly. 3,000 on lessons.
Yeah.
If you didn't like the guitar, take it back.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all that. You know, man, oh man, I went to Berkeley and I studied all this jazz and everything, and I'm making $25 a night. Bad decision. You know, if you were doing this for money and this is what the music you wanted to play, you should have known it doesn't make that kind of money all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but you do it because you love it. You know, it's just, you know, come in
our theme today.
C major seventh.
Yeah.
You're pissed off because they let you go. Bad decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my Mel Bay book said you could always substitute. Well, Mel Bay's not on the gig and he's not representing you in court.
Yeah.
So guess what? Bad decision.
That's funny.
This is the way it is. Hey, it's this rap tune. I'm going to put this Slash solo over it. Bad decision. That's your final answer?
Yeah. You sure?
Yeah, we're gonna do this really chill rap song, and at the end, I'm gonna play a Sweet Child of Mine solo. Is that your final answer? Get out.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like just think about stuff before you do it.
Yeah.
Because being a musician is hard enough. So don't be delusional. You know, understand what you mean to that other person. That as much as you've grown up always loving guitar, the guy that hires you might hate guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
He hates guitar. He doesn't even know why this band has to have a guitar.
Yeah. There's like one lick that you
Yeah.
hate in the song, but he's like, oh, could you just go away the rest of the time?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to just go, hey, you know, he might be happy at the end of the tour. You go, you take care now. And you go, what's your name again? Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You did great.
Perfect. Because when it's time to get another guitar player, he's going to go, what was the name of that guy you used?
Yeah.
Wait, I don't even remember it. He's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't add to my to-do list.
Yeah. I can't even find his name. He's perfect. He's perfect. I didn't even realize we had a guitar player. Yeah, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Rants. But I got to tell you too, dude, I am so proud of everything you do. I get so excited.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. It's like, I watch you on the videos and I'm like, look at him go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man, it's great. It's great.
You know how it is. It's a work in progress. Some days are
Oh,
good, and most days are bad.
I
But
know that's the other thing. That's the other thing we should say. People should realize guitar is hard.
yeah, every day.
Every day. Guitar is hard. Guitar is not easy. Like I said, it gets harder. The
Yeah,
better you get, the harder it gets.
yeah,
You know? It's like most days you suck. You just do. And then one day, when you're by yourself, you're playing like nobody's business. And by the next day, that's gone.
yep. But you keep at it because you love it.
Because you're chasing that day. One
Yeah,
day I'll be able to do this every day. Just
exactly.
sound good every day.
Yep.
That's the part that I love with Tom Bukovac. Every time he picks up a guitar, it sounds record worthy. Every time he picks up a guitar, you could just hit record. There are no bad things.
Yeah.
His level of excellence is just that great.
Yep.
That everything he plays is just, what do you say?
Yep. Record.
Yep, just like a record. It
Yep.
belongs on a record. And that's what everybody should ask yourself. When you play, after you play something, would you be proud for that to be on a record? And if it's not, you need to practice.
Yeah.
You know? It's like when you sit there and you play something, I tell my students, they'll play something, go, what do you think about that? And I go, what do you think about it? And they go, I thought it was pretty good. I go, would you put it on a record? Well, no. Well, that's not pretty good.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
living in that dream world.
Yeah.
If you can't seriously listen to it and go, yeah, that's all right. You know? And it doesn't mean it's the greatest in the world. It just means it's record worthy.
Yeah, and strangely, that's empowering because what ends up working on a record are the simple things that are well executed.
Right.
So the minute you stop flailing in a million different directions with, should I be hybrid picking or should I be
Right, right.
whatever it is, like once I have a student now who's working on his own record, and his playing is progressing so quickly because he is in record land already. And his timing has just skyrocketed because he started recording and he heard the difference.
You have to keep hearing it back and go, oh, shoot.
I could have given him a million metronome exercises and it wouldn't have done that for him.
Right. And which brings up the other point. All you guys playing at home in your bedroom, go play with somebody. It's totally different. Playing guitar by yourself with a backing track and playing with a band. Totally different. It's like, so go play with people. Learn to adapt. What do you do when your style doesn't fit what everybody else is playing? Well, you got to figure out something fast.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to change their style. So you need to be able to change your style to fit theirs.
Yep.
Always look at yourself first. Don't look at other people. So play with other people so you understand what that feels like. Playing with a drum machine is easy. Playing with a real drummer is not that easy. Some guys are, some guys aren't, but it doesn't mean they're good or bad. It's just what style fits another.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out what to do. Like I said, learn to play behind, learn to play a little on top. Other thing with a drummer, always make it sound like the drummer's leading. Don't ever try to take the reins from the drummer, because the tune won't work if it doesn't sound like the drums are the timekeeper. So you trying to be the timekeeper and make everybody play to you will never work, because that's not the way it works.
Right.
It's better for you to play a little out of time and make the drummer sound good than to you try to force, hey, look how good my time is. Those are the mindsets you have to change.
Yeah.
I'm with this bass player and drummer, and they're kind of okay, but they're missing the mark. What can I do to lay in the middle and make it sound like it should be this way?
Mm-hmm.
Because that works too. But if you just try to play your way and they're playing their way, you got a tune going in 3 different directions, what you were talking about. Everything's
Right.
going in a different direction. So it's all psychological. When you play with people, empower them. Make them sound good. Don't worry about you sounding good. Make them sound good. And you'll sound good.
Wise words.
Yeah. Make everybody in your band sound good. Whatever you need to do. You see the singer's having a problem coming in, make up a part. Make up a part. And if you're good with the artist and the artist is cordial with you, you go, how about if I play this? And you'll know to come in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you do stuff like that because that's how you get gigs. Because everybody wants to play with you because you make their job easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone that's gotten called to play a gig because they made the job hard.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just a balancing act of making everybody like you and understand that people like you for different reasons. Not everybody goes, oh man, he's a shredder maniac. I love that. No. Some guys just like you because, oh man, do you like touring with so-and-so? Oh man, he's the greatest hang.
Yeah.
He's the greatest hang ever. He's a great guy on the tour bus. We have a ball. How you like his playing? Never really paid attention.
Yeah. What was his name again?
Yeah, what was his name again?
Yeah.
But man, oh man. Ask him about the time we went to McDonald's. That was, and so people, that's the deal. It's like, you have to understand why people like you. What do they need in a guitar player?
And also, what do they not want from a guitar player? That's something I try to keep in mind a lot. Like, there's that beautiful thing that happens when an instrument isn't there.
Right.
Some things are better because all of a sudden there's this space.
Right.
I try to be super aware every time I play anything of the space that I'm taking away.
Right.
Make it so like there's still songs where I don't play anything. So I don't ever want them to have the experience when I'm not there. Like, oh, it's so nice with all that space. It's
yeah. I know. That's another one. Man, oh man. This gig is great. Oh, Anders isn't here.
Yeah, exactly. What a terrifying thought.
Oh.
You think you have to play all the time, but you don't.
Yeah. And then you play in the gig the next day and they're like, man, this gig's not as good as the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, Anders is here.
Yeah, oh shit.
Like,
I don't like this example, but the point remains.
Anders is here. Oh man, no, but it's true. Yeah, so you just have to, So I think it's just a reality check.
Yeah.
That people aren't, that you can't say the people go, it's a dog eat dog business, and it is, but you just have to understand that people's jobs don't revolve around you all the time.
Yeah. Your job revolves around them.
Yeah. So you just have to understand that maybe they're not as enthusiastic about you being there, but it has nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
They just have other things on their mind.
Yeah.
I remember being a musical director once and having to explain to a guy, a bass player. I said, dude, I'm really close to letting you go. And I feel really bad about it. I go, because you're doing a pretty damn good job. But the problem is, you keep blowing this part. When you blow that part, the artist comes to me and tells me, why is the bass player blowing that part? I have to explain to them what's going on and say, I'll take care of it. And then I tell you, and you don't fix the part. And then the next day, they're telling me what's with that bass player again. Mm-hmm. I go, so it gets down to a point where if the bass player doesn't play that part the next time, then the musical director's not doing his job. And so that means the only thing I can do to show her that I'm doing my job is to fire you.
Yeah.
So he goes, that bass player missed that part. Taken care of. We got a new bass player coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see,
Yeah.
so that makes me look great, but now you don't have a job.
Right.
So please learn that part.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. I was like, well,
Well,
what fucking way did you think of it?
that's exactly what I was going to ask. What did you think was going to happen?
What did you think?
Yeah.
But sometimes I had to explain things like that, and they were like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's so hard about that?
Yeah.
I asked you to do it, you didn't do it, and now you're going to be upset when I fire you.
Yeah.
And to you, you're thinking, oh, it's just one little part. But that's the part that bothers the artist.
Yeah. And it's a part. Like what?
It's a part.
Yeah.
With the Staples singers, we used to go through bass players because they wouldn't play the bass solo, and I'll take you there. And they go, well, I thought it was just a solo. How can you think it's just a solo? It's on the radio constantly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part.
Yeah.
It's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And guys would just start playing jazzy stuff and all this stuff. And I'm like, could you play the solo that's on the record?
Bad decision.
Yeah. And they would go, well, I wasn't feeling that. I just want to be free. I go, you're going to be free.
You're going to be free to play whatever you want in your bedroom.
You're going to be so free, you're not going to believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like wow.
You're free right now.
Yeah. I mean, I told you my first gig with the Staples Singers, I thought I was getting fired, and Pop had me fire the bass player.
Yeah.
I played the gig, and at the end of the gig, I was like, wow, it was my first big stadium gig. And I was like, I guess it's okay. And then all of a sudden, Pop went, can I see you? And I went, holy shit. Oh, fuck. And I went, say, yeah, Pop, what can I do for you? He goes, you sounded really good tonight. He goes, good job. I said, oh, great. He goes, how do you think the bass player sounded? And I went, I I didn't really pay attention. And he goes, well, I didn't like it. He didn't play the solo good. And I said, oh. And he goes, do me a favor. Let's give him this. And it was a plane ticket. Yeah. I had to go the first night, and I remember seeing him, and he's like, hey, man, great gig tonight, huh? Not for you.
Oh.
Yeah,
How did he take it?
He cried and he cried.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
What a load to put on you.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's a moral to that story. The way that started was, Pop told him he had this beat up old cheap bass. And he goes, this is the only bass I have. He said, and he had nylon, different color strings on it. And Pop went, dude, you need another bass. And he goes, well, I can't afford one. Pop pulled out a card and said, take this down to Guitar Center and just give them this and get what you want. And he goes, we'll work it out. And he goes, okay. When we showed up at the gig, because remember, there were no rehearsals. So
Right.
when we showed up at the gig, he had that same bass. And he didn't do what Pop said. So I don't know if he didn't play the solo good, or Pop just saw he didn't have that bass and didn't have that tone, a Fender tone, because it was like a hollow body bass. Like Blue Sunburst. I'll never forget it, because it was like, dude, you need to throw that away.
Yeah.
But the fact is, who knows why which made more sense about him being fired. But either way, you didn't do what you were told to do.
Yeah. And
So
somebody gave you a credit card and said, go get whatever you want. Like,
right.
what else do you need? All other considerations aside.
Yeah, he gave him like a business card because he had already been down there. They knew him.
Yeah.
So, so he was like, here, just give him this, get what you want, and we'll take a little bit out of your check, or we'll work it out. So Pop was all good,
Yeah.
and
Which,
you
I
didn't
mean,
do what he said.
yeah, and he should have. I mean, just the fact that the artist wasn't happy with his gear should have been enough that he would have already been on the way to Guitar Center.
Right.
You know,
You know,
just
so there's the moral to that story is, yeah, on the outside, maybe he didn't play the solo that good, but I'm sure it didn't help that when Pop turned and looked, he saw that other bass.
yeah,
Because I'm sure, knowing Pop, he was like, I thought I told him to get a bass.
yeah,
You know, and the way they left it, because I was there, was he said, we'll work it out. You know, we'll work it out. Don't worry, just get what you want. And he said, oh, thanks, Pop. So he understood.
hmm
Like, that's really nice of you. And I don't know what he said. You know, I don't know if he said I didn't get around to it or what it was, but you'd think you'd want to get around to it.
exactly. Or you wanted the plane ticket home. You know, it's
Yeah. And I mean, back then, tours were long. So it was a 2-year tour.
wow.
Yeah, it was a 2-year tour, booked all over the world, stadiums, everything. You know, so it wasn't like, well, I'm not going to have enough money to buy one.
Yeah.
Thing, it's like, dude, you know, and he was young like me.
hmm
So it's like, you know, we got a big opportunity. Because at the point when I got hired, they were like #1 on the charts. And they had all these other hits. So it was styling. And I don't know why he wouldn't, you know.
Yeah. Who knows?
But you see that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I see that all the time. And, you know, so, but that's the thing. It's like, learn your parts, play the parts. And when someone asks you to do something, if you have, you know, if you're okay with it, then do it,
Yeah.
you know. But for some reason, you know, I see a lot of the younger kids, they're like, well, I won't do it. And the only thing you got to remember is it's okay you don't want to do it, but just remember that there's 50 other guys that do want to do it.
hmm
So you don't have any leverage.
Right.
Turning to the artist going, well, if that's the case, I don't know if I want to do it. Then to them, it's like, who was that other guy?
Yeah.
There's not, oh, please, would you reconsider? No,
Yeah.
no.
no.
You know, Taylor Swift does not go, oh man, I was looking so forward to you playing bass on this tour.
Exactly.
She just walks away and goes, I think we need another bass player.
Yep.
All right, I don't know, have lunch.
She probably doesn't even have to say that because the MD
I
already
know.
up on the exchange and there's already someone new
I
coming.
know this. I know someone's already overheard that and went,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Next guy.
Yeah. So when she's like, hey, do we have a number other taken care of?
Yep.
Done.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, but there you have it.
That's awesome, Reggie. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking the time to talk to me and
Oh, this is great.
all your wisdom.
No, I don't know if it's wisdom. It's just mistakes. Like I said, I look back and I just see mistakes.
But you see the value in those mistakes. And
Oh, yeah.
That's
It only happens to me once.
yeah.
It only happens once.